My name is Ross Anderson. I went to school in Nottingham, England, just south of Nottingham, a little village called Gotham. My school was a state comprehensive. I went to university at Harvard, which is in Cambridge, Massachusetts, just outside Boston. I had no idea that going to school in the US was even a possibility. Um, my uh, my experience was that everybody from my school went to university and either didn't go to university at all or went to university in England. Um, but I knew somebody through a sport I played that had gone to America, was a year above me, and they said, "Ross, this is fantastic. You really have to think about applying." And so I decided to apply. I ended up getting in. Um, when I got in, I'd actually never even been to America at that stage. So it really was a totally new experience for me. Basically, I went on the internet, I looked around. I obviously knew about some universities from their reputations. Um, I made sure that the rankings of the universities were such that I would be able to come back to Britain and the degree would be okay. Um, and I basically selected I think it was about 6 universities in the end. I chose that number because I didn't want to choose too many because there was an application fee for each one, but I also wanted to make sure that I had a good chance to get into them all. I think it's also important when choosing the number of universities to consider that you don't want to choose too many and not put as much effort into the applications. You really need to put as much effort as possible into each application, because that way I think they see what you're about as a person. I also considered the geography as well, because America is a very diverse country and there's a lot of different areas. And so, do you want somewhere that's hot? Do you want somewhere that's cold? How far away? Like my roommate, freshman year, he was from California, Los Angeles, and he actually had a longer flight home than I did. And so, if you go to the West Coast, it's actually double the distance from going to the East Coast. So you have to keep those things in mind. The school was very supportive. They're very willing to help me. There was one teacher at school who was actually married to an American, and so she was quite helpful when it came to the process and how to do it. The school itself really had never done this before, and so they were quite new to it, and I had to really be on top of things and guide them through the process, which it is involved in itself, but I think it actually makes you think more about the application and makes you care about it more. In terms of my family, I think Mum was a bit scared at the beginning about me going. My mum and dad had never been to America either, so they didn't know what it was like. But she's been out a few times now, and they're fine with it. I think, in terms of a person, I've done things I would never have even thought about doing before. I've been to places all over the world, really. I've been to Canada, Hawaii, Italy. Fantastic places with my course that I would never have dreamt of doing. I've met the people you meet, I think, is also really important. I've met people from all across the world, people who do very different things and have fantastically interesting experiences. One of my professors worked on the Manhattan Project to build the nuclear bomb, which you never expect to meet these types of people. Also, I think academically, going in there, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do something to do with science. I was very into that type of thing. But I took a class my freshman year on the history of the Earth, geology class, and I just got hooked on it. And the professor became my advisor, and we ended up going to Scotland together to do field work. And I'm now going to do a PhD in geology. So this is probably going to become my career, and I've really learned a lot from it. My advice would be apply. If you don't apply, you can't get in, right? So make sure you're in the process. Think hard about where you want to go and why you want to go to America. I think it's important that you are committed to going to America from the beginning. I don't think you can go into this half-heartedly saying, "Oh, that'd be interesting, I'll just try that out." I think you actually have to want to do it, because the admissions officers are going to know if you're not committed. And I think also, think about where you want to be. Think about what type of place you want to go to. I would always encourage you to go to the websites. Really, if you can email an admissions officer, email them, because then you build up a personal relationship with this person who's eventually going to decide whether you get in or not. And so it's important they know who you are and what your personality is like, and I think that really can come out if you contact them directly. And just be yourself. I think in England people tend to be a little bit reserved, and I don't think you can be like that. I think you just have to show them what you are, who you are, and I think you'll get a long way.